I had always been drawn to abandoned places. Maybe it was the silence, or the way time seemed to freeze within crumbling walls. Some people collect stamps or coins. Me, I collect experiences of places the world has forgotten. That's how I ended up in front of Hollow Creek High School, a 3-story brick building in the middle of rural Pennsylvania. They said it had been closed since the late 1980s, after a mysterious fire in the chemistry lab. The official reports claimed no students were inside at the time, but locals whispered different stories. Some said a girl had been trapped on the 3rd floor. Others swore the principal hung himself in his office after the tragedy. It didn't matter to me what was true. I just wanted to see it for myself. The front doors were chained, but someone had already broken a side window. I slid through carefully, brushing glass off my jacket. Inside, the air smelled of mold, chalk dust, and something faintly metallic, like old blood. My flashlight beam caught faded murals of smiling students and trophies still displayed in cracked cases. At first, it felt like any other abandoned place. Broken desks, peeling paint, graffiti from kids daring each other to sneak in. But then, I noticed something strange. Every clock in the hallways was frozen at 2:17. Not 2:16, not 2:18, every single one. I tried to laugh it off. Probably the time when the power was cut permanently. But a tight knot had already formed in my stomach. The deeper I went, the louder the silence seemed. In the old library, overturned shelves looked like fallen trees in a dead forest. Pages of burned books were scattered like leaves. I picked one up. It was from a yearbook. The faces of students smiled up at me, but their eyes were blacked out with ink. That's when I heard it, a bell ringing. Not faint, not imagined, clear as day, the school bell. I froze. My phone showed it was almost midnight. No way. The sound echoed down the hallway, followed by the muffled rush of footsteps, as if dozens of students had just been released from class. I swung my flashlight around. Nothing. Empty corridors, dust drifting in the air. I should have left then, but something in me wanted to know more. I climbed the staircase to the 3rd floor, the one they said had burned. The air grew warmer, thick with the stench of smoke that shouldn't have been there after decades. My light revealed blackened walls and half-melted lockers. Some were still locked shut, others hung open like screaming mouths. On one locker door, scratched into the rust, were the words, "Sit down, class isn't over." I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it was just some teenager messing around. Then my flashlight flickered, and for a split second, I saw a girl standing at the end of the hallway. She was wearing a singed cheerleader's uniform. Her skin was pale, her hair clumped as if wet. She didn't move, just stared. I blinked, and she was gone. I rushed into what used to be a classroom. Rows of desks sat facing a charred blackboard. On it, written in white chalk, were fresh words. Present. The word dripped down the board like it was bleeding. Behind me, chairs began scraping, slowly at first, then faster, as if invisible students were pulling them out. I heard whispers, children's voices repeating something I couldn't quite understand. I ran. Back in the hallway, the fire alarm suddenly blared, deafening and shrill. Red lights flashed, painting everything in hellish color. I staggered toward the stairwell, but the floor felt soft beneath my shoes, like it was melting. The walls began to shimmer, transforming around me. In a blink, the school wasn't abandoned anymore. The halls were filled with kids, dozens of them. Their faces were blurry, their eyes hollow. They bumped into me as if I weren't even there. Teachers barked orders. The smell of smoke grew stronger. I staggered into the gymnasium. The bleachers were filled with shadowy figures cheering. At the center of the basketball court stood the girl in the cheerleader uniform. This time, she was smiling, her teeth too sharp, her mouth too wide. The lights overhead burst, showering sparks. She pointed at me. The crowd of shadow students turned their heads in unison, staring. Their eyes were nothing but black holes. Then they began to chant. 217, 217, 217. The fire alarm screamed over them. My head felt like it was splitting open. I don't remember how I got out. The next thing I knew, I was lying in the weeds outside the school, gasping for air. My phone said 2:17 a.m. I ran to my car and drove until the building was just a shape in my rear-view mirror. I told myself I'd never go back, never speak of it. But last night, when I checked the photos I'd taken inside, I found one that chilled me to the core. In the background of a blurry shot of the hallway, the girl in the cheerleader's uniform was there, standing right behind me, smiling. And now, every night since then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., I hear the sound of a school bell ringing outside my apartment window.